Today's November 21st. BBWAA Awards week has completed. Paul Skenes comes home with some hardware. Your Rookie of the Year. Roster stuff's happening this week. Let's talk tenders. You're listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Yins, guys, thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh. His name is Jake. What's up, Jake? Well, it's going all right. There's a football game on tonight. Yeah, we are. Yeah. So we're going to be pretty much alone here tonight, I would imagine. Shoot a little test just to make sure we're getting... Hey, we are getting chats. Just in case. We are having a 1919 again. Okay. Okay. What do you got there? Well, it looks like we're trying this out on Twitter for the first time. But it looks like the chat is just not working. So I don't see how I can get it to pull in the chat. So if that matters to you, then there you go. All right. Done. I'm done messing with that. And if it bothers me anymore, I will 100% just turn it off. How's that sound to you, Jake? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like, we're not going to see any of the chat there from the Twitter side unless I can figure that out, which doesn't look like I can right now. So it's fine. Everything's fine. So, yeah, Paul Skenes, man. We've been talking a lot about Paul Skenes lately, and for good reason. He's kind of the guy. He's a stud. Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that before, and I'm not really sure how they do 10. You found out they do 10. Okay. Okay. Who? How many does he have in a row? Yeah. He's got 3. He has won all 3 unanimously. I mean, this is what kind of a special player he is. This is unprecedented. And I think we all are well aware of that. You know what I mean? So I think that's just where we're at. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Obviously not a whole lot there for the Pirates. Outside of Cy Young, it was nice to see Paul Skenes represented well. 3rd place vote. He got, did I write that down? No, I didn't. I think it was like 13 3rd place votes, something like that. He did receive a 2nd place vote, but he finished 3rd. And so, yeah, I mean, pretty cool to receive that 2nd place vote, I guess, over top of somebody who probably didn't have to receive that. I'm not sure why somebody didn't like Zach Wheeler, or well, it had to be Zach Wheeler because 1st place was, well, I guess it didn't have to. Well, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I didn't write those down. What I did write down was Rookie of the Year was 23-7 on that 1st place vote. 23-7 votes against Jackson Merrill. Jackson Merrill 7-23 as far as 2nd place. So it was only them 2. And then Churio got 26 3rd place votes. He was right there. And Shota got 4. And then that's the list, man. You know what I mean? Well, I imagine there's probably, like you said, if they do go 10, I imagine there's other people. But as far as the 1, 2, 3, it was completely those 4 guys, right? So, really good. We did, if you're into that thing, I did a live stream. I had the 2 guys, Adam and Scott from Bucko Banner, and I had Jim Rosati from NS9, and we basically just hung out and watched it and kind of chatted. So it's pretty cool. If you want to go back and watch it, obviously we'd like to do some more of that kind of stuff in the future. Maybe just to do something, just to hang out, something a little less, I guess less formal, you know what I mean? Coming up with something, just really just kind of hanging out. But we'll try to do some of those things in the future too. I thought it was a good time. So we're going to talk about some of the other roster things that are happening. These are the off-season things that people talk about. Rosters, there was the Rule 5 protection deadline. The non-tender deadline is tomorrow. So we're going to get into that. I think that's what's in front of us right now. And then if there's anything else we can get into, I mean, we might even poke around at maybe some of the players out there who might possibly be non-tendered that maybe we could be interested in seeing the Pirates maybe, bring to spring training or something like that. Maybe there's nothing. I don't know what you looked at and all that stuff, but we're going to get into that. So did you see, right before we do, did you see that Manfred came out and made some comments again about the robo-umps? Yeah, I think it's 13. I wonder if they're doing it like a mix between Arizona and Florida. I wonder if they're doing like one or the other. I don't know if maybe some of them, I mean, like, because we know that when you go through spring training, there's some of them that's like, we don't even have this thing. You know what I mean? Like, we go to some parks and we're like, well, we don't have StatCast today. You know what I mean? And so this is, I would imagine it's just the fields that are equipped for that. I would assume, and I don't know if they put a list out there or not. I didn't see if they did, but I would assume Lecon Park would probably be on that list. Do you think? So there's two questions here. Do they have a video board? I don't think they do. I think they just have a scoreboard. So my question would be, so it does have StatCast. So they'd be able to do all the things, right? But if they don't have a video board, how can they show it? So they're probably only going to be able to do it with places that have a video board. So Lecon might not be on the list if that's the case, because what was announced was they are going to do this in spring training. 13 parks are going to start doing this spring training and essentially, test it out at this level and whatnot. But also, they're only doing challenge system as far as robot umps go, which, to be honest with you, I don't really even like the term robot umps. To me, there are two different things. There's challenge and there's robot umps. To me, I don't know. I mean, that's not the way that it's being used right now, but to me, robot umps is every single pitch, right? It gets called for you. The umpire is basically just the relay man. To me, that's robo umps. The challenge system is every bit the umpire's calling every single pitch. The only time the ABS comes into play is if it is challenged, and then they check the board. That's it. So this is like, we can call it robo umps all we want. Technically, it has nothing to do with robo umps, and I hope it never does, Jake. That's my opinion on it. I know that we've had some conversations about it, and this is like, I'll get your take on this, because for me, it's like polar opposites. I think the challenge system improves the game that exists right now. I think it's awesome. It's fun. It engages the crowd. It gives you a strategy because you can't challenge every pitch because you can only be wrong twice. Once you're wrong twice, your team has no more. Obviously, they can adjust that number if they want, but you can be right as many times as you want. In Columbus one day, I saw an umpire get like 8 straight that he got wrong. And the teams just kept going. And we were like, that's 8 in a row, and neither team had lost one yet. Right? I was at another game where I only saw 3 challenges, or I only saw 5 challenges, 3 from one team, because there was only one that got right, and the ump was right 4 out of 5 challenges. So like, there, you know what I mean? You're going to get a different result every time, but at the same time, you watch it real time with everyone else. And you think about heckling, right? I'm the guy at the game, as Gary called me out earlier today when I was talking about this on Twitter. I'm the guy at the game who pulls up game day every time I think an umpire looks like it's not going well. I'm pulling up game day and I'm looking because there's guys yelling, "Oh, come on, Blue." You know what I mean? So there's two things. There's two things that I'm doing is learn the umpire's name, right? That's what we were doing at the shows, right? Learn the umpire's name. We don't call him Blue in the major leagues. So we're going to learn his name and we're going to call him out specifically by name. Right? So if his name's Charlie, our heckle is, come on, Charlie, I can see it from here. You just don't go with blue. The second thing is check it out, because I could sit there and complain at a game, but if the pitches are there and I just don't think they are, then you're yelling at the wrong guy. You got to be yelling at your hitters like, hey guys, swing the bat. So, you know what I mean? Yeah, I guess I didn't finish that, right? I didn't finish that thought. It's the same as what you're saying right now. As I think it's great, I think that the opposite, exactly like you're saying, I think it's awful. I think it's a completely different direction. I think one makes the game better, and it's not just like, I'm okay with this, I don't want that. It's not that. I actually really like it. Not just I'm okay with it. I think we need it. I love it. It's a great aspect of the game. It's a lot of fun. I'm here for it. Yeah. So you think in the NFL, the pylon continues for infinity, right? However they say it. So you're saying, in what you would propose the rule to be is that infinity, straight up in the air, if you're above second base, you're on second. I think you have to touch it first. Once you touch it. Right. Or be like jumping, like if you're, it's not when your foot comes above it, you have to actually hit the base. But once you hit it, if you pop up a little bit, you're allowed to pop up a little bit. So long as you land back on the base. How about that? Right. They're never going to do that. This is just part of what it is. I agree with what you're saying, though. I think the pop up, you never get that call. But then again, slide better at this point, and I'm kind of am for it in that way. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, you know what? Just slide better. But isn't that part of it, though? Because from a defensive standpoint, I'm saying you got to be safe. You can't just run like it's like first base. You can run through it. You can sprint all the way until you get through it. You can't do that at second base. And that's in it. That's, as a defender, I'm like, yeah, you have to slow down. And so I think about that with the sliding, with the over sliding the bag, or even like a slide so hard, like a pop-up slide that you actually pop up, because it's momentum. It's because you slid so hard. Like I'm saying you need to be able to slow it down and to hit it and be there. And so I think that's part of it. I think everybody's waiting to slide too late because they're trying to run as far as they can. That's what's causing them to overslide. That's what's causing them to pop up on pop-up slides. That's what's causing them to get injured. You need to slide earlier. These slides are way too late in that way. I'm not sharing that, Bucko Mike, as I share it. We're not going to repeat it for the audio listeners. But hey, do your thing. Do your thing. Yeah, I mean, you may as well take an opportunity to say that. Please subscribe to things. Please subscribe to the podcast if you're listening to it, wherever you're listening. And on YouTube, especially right now, we'd really like to push to get some more subscribers on YouTube. Right now, it's really, I, I don't know how this is going to come off, Jake, but I am who I am, and right now it's kind of not worth like a whole lot of effort to do anything extra other than the shows on YouTube, just because that my time's important to me. So, if that number gets to be a lot bigger on YouTube, then maybe some more content is more worth it. I don't know. Not that the 150 aren't worth it. You guys are totally awesome, especially the ones who come back for the live shows on Sundays and Thursdays. I definitely love that. Anyway, Bucko Mike says Pirates too quiet. Yeah, I'm gonna echo that a little bit here. It feels very quiet. What do we got? We got Matt Hague's the hitting coach. We got a new assistant pitching coach in Brent Strom. We've got the bullpen catcher's been promoted to catching coach. Help me out. Why is that name leaving me right now? Oh my gosh, you got to help me with that. Yeah, Jordan. Why can't I think of his name? Anyway, you guys know. Somebody throw it in the chat right now. So we got coaches. We've got Rule 5 protection deadline was Wednesday, and the Pirates did nothing, Jake. Is that any bit surprising to you? I hear. Who would you protect in this case, right? Billy Cook and Nick York were the two on my radar. Both of those guys got called up. Who else is left? Sure. Okay. So Siani or Eddie Yeen, neither one of those guys are going to get drafted. You know what I'm saying? Neither one of those guys are getting drafted, and nobody's putting those guys on their major league roster all year. So I just don't. I don't think that there needed to be anything there. There was nobody to protect now that Billy Cook and Nick York are already moved up. Was there somebody else too? Because Ashcraft and Burroughs were already on there. Was there anybody else that actually needed to be protected that got called up? I don't think so. Yeah, Bucko Mike says the catcher prospect in Greensboro. That's the other thing. Yeah. I'm doing great with the names right now. Anyway, it's the same thing. Like, nobody's going to put him on their major league team. So, good player, and hopefully can work his way into something, but just not worth. You had 2 open spots. That's the only reason you asked the question, right? If you've got 2 available spots on your 40-man, wouldn't you just fill them to make sure? Well, you only get so many options on a player too. And so you're starting all that. You're starting all those options. So if you can keep them for a year, and as they get closer, you'll have a little more urgency to add them. So and really, I mean, we got 38-man, 40-man roster right now, and where does it go from here, right? Because there's a chance after tomorrow, let's be clear, after Friday, they're going to have some other guys that possibly might come off this roster because the non-tender deadline is Friday. Okay. So let's get into that. I think that's kind of the big thing right now. It's what's sitting right in front of us. There's 4 guys who are kind of the talk of everyone, right? As candidates of non-tender candidates based on the money that they're about to make. Low-hanging fruit. Alika Williams is projected to make $1.3 million. Is this a guy that maybe you non-tender, or do you keep him around a little bit, maybe offer him a little less than that and either go to arbitration with him, or you have the ability that if you trade or sign enough players this offseason, he's a guy that just ends up getting never mind or thrown into a trade package or something like that. Where are you at on him? Yeah, I mean, what's league minimum right now? I mean, it's really not that far away from 1.3 million. It's like 8 something for that point. Uh-oh. Bucko Mike says no audio for Uncle Jake. Go ahead and talk for me. Nope, no audio. Interesting. This whole time? Say something again. Okay, you're on our audio, but you're not coming in on the video right now. Oh boy. Talk now.
Talking.
All right, we got him.
Bucko
We got Jake.
Mike.
So I'm going to have to, that's going to be fun for everybody watching the video.
Yeah, I wonder when that was.
I mean, it's probably been the whole time. Dave says we
Well.
could see him, but not hear him. All right. I will probably have to take this down and re-upload a video of this episode. Looks like I'm not going to bed early tonight. For the audio listeners, you've had no problem. He's been live the whole time. I'll say this. There's a little bit of a different setup when it comes to the live stream versus this. And so that's probably just something that came from that. I was playing music, I was playing myself, and everything was coming through there. Just not you. So, all right. Well, my bad, guys. And Bucko Mike says you can do that when Jim Rosati's on the show. Yeah. No. Anyway, well, that's great. So you guys don't know what Jake thinks about Alika Williams, and we're going to leave it that way. Go listen to the audio or wait for this thing to be reposted, because I'll have to do some edits and repost it later. So anyway, let's move on past him. We've got 3 more. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to Connor Joe. Projected 3.2 million in arbitration. Obviously, with all these guys, like, you could offer 2.5, and if he takes it, you don't ever have to go to arbitration, and that number doesn't mean anything. If you tender him a contract for 2.5, are you doing that? Are you tendering him a contract for 2.5? Which, like I said, he doesn't have to accept. You just have to offer it. If you put one on the table, he stays on your team for now, and then you deal with it later, or he accepts 2.5 and you move on. Or do you just non-tender him and say, I don't want to have to owe him anything. He's done. He's gone forever. Where are you at on Connor Joe?
I'm in between on this one, because I don't want to see Connor Joe in a Pirates uniform next year.
Well, then it's easy as that.
But it's not, because I think you can package him in a trade that'll help you get somebody, like obviously an addition to something. You know what I mean? Hey, we'll throw Joe in and I think he helps. I think he helps pull the trigger on a trade. But I don't know if I take the chance that somebody takes him.
I disagree. I don't think that Connor Joe has that pull like he did last offseason. I think now that we've seen it 2 years in a row, I don't think it's there. Yeah. I think your best bet was to deal him in June or a last offseason. I just don't think he has that trade value that he had before anymore. I don't think it's there. And so for me, I think this is the time that I actually do. With Billy Cook being available and essentially being the same player, but a little bit better on defense. Actually, quite a bit better on defense. But with the same sort of offensive potential, to me, I would just go that route. And I would say, I don't need that player, but if I wanted it and I did need it, I have another guy here who fits that mold, who can help me at first base and play outfield. You know what I mean? Like that, I
Yeah.
have
Yeah,
that,
that
I
makes
have
sense.
that guy. And so for this guy to make any amount of money, whether it's 2 million, whether it's 3.2 million, because the thing is if you lowball it so far and offer him 2 million and he just doesn't, like he sits on that or he doesn't take it or whatever, and then you just go to arbitration with him. But if you have all that time that you can essentially make a decision between now and arbitration and not have to actually go through that process. Like you're saying, put him in a trade, actually DFA him, stuff like that. So I could see that, but I think at this point, if you're saying, I don't want to see him in a uniform, then that's it. I just non-tender him and I don't mess around with the money because I have Billy Cook right there,
Yeah.
who I think can field that position. And you also have Triolo who can play some first base. And then, you know what I mean? Obviously we're looking at more.
Mm-hmm.
So Andy Rodriguez, you have guys that you could play there. Didn't Alika Williams play first base for us in a game?
I think so.
So, I mean, and you know, you could put Nick York there and he'd figure it out. You know, there's guys, IKF could do it. He could figure it out. Joey Bart could figure it out. There are things that can happen in a sense like that, where you can say like, no, I think we'd be able to make this happen. Steel City DW says, I can't imagine Connor Joe having much pull this year. 33 by the break, 688 OPS last year. Can't imagine what you get for that. Yeah, and I mean, even as a throw-in guy, like you were saying, just like, hey, just a guy to get you over the edge. I just don't think that it's there. Like, I don't even know what team would see that as anything. If anything, it would be, we already have a deal, and then you just say, hey, do you mind if we throw him in?
You don't think a guy like Connor Joe would help you in a trade with like White Sox or the A's or, you know, anybody? Like, they'll take anybody who's been in the major leagues before.
I don't know. I really don't think so. Maybe Colorado because he's been there. There might be something there where they would say like, yeah, I mean, we have a position. We have a guy who's not ready to play right field. He can play right field. If that guy gets good, we'll deal with it. But outside of that, I don't think so. I mean, they just lost Blackman, right?
Fair.
So
that's fair. I don't know. I think when you're offloading a bunch of people when you're a terrible team and somebody's going to just not, you know, quote unquote, sweeten the deal. I'm going to give you these prospects, then I'll give you this guy here who can play right now. You obviously really don't care if you're winning or losing right now.
Yeah, I think he'll get a job like that, but not. I think somebody would be willing to give him, $1.50 and say, "Come play for us," or maybe 2 million, 2.5 million, right? But I don't think anybody wants to take him and go to arbitration with him.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think once it's there, he's going to do that. Bucko Mike's already got him in there, so let's go to the next guy here. BDLC. Brian De La Cruz, he's got an option to go down to the minor leagues, and that is interesting to me. However, the projected is $4 million.
Yeah, this one's tough because I don't think he's if he goes to arbitration, he's going to win. I mean, he hit 21 homers last year. That's what, 2 straight years he's hit 20 plus.
19 and 21, so he's got 40 in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's a guy with some power. Power speaks dollars.
Yeah, he also had a negative 0.3 WAR in 23 and a negative 1.5 WAR last year. So I don't know that that's necessarily true because they're going to favor to that WAR statistic. Now this is Baseball Reference WAR. I don't have Fangraphs in front of me, so I'm not sure of the difference of that. But like, yeah, the home runs are there, but outside of that, like a 654 OPS last year stinks. You know what I'm saying? And so, when you look at that, it's like Man, I mean, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing for me. We saw him for 44 games.
Mm-hmm.
He had a 707 OPS with the Marlins, which is still not great. It's about what he's done so far. He's already 27 years old. So there's a little bit there that makes you think, well, what makes you think he's going to figure it out now? Well, sometimes power takes longer. That's been true forever, right? I mean, look at what Brent Rooker's doing right now. Look what Jose Bautista did after he started becoming, older and learning his way through things. He's not a good defender, though. And I don't know that goes away.
Yeah. I think he's about where he's going to be defensively.
And that's not a guy that you're going to move at all to like to DH either. Like he's not enough bat to DH. So it's not even something there. The only thing I would say in favor of keeping him, is that what he did here was essentially a slump. We saw nothing. We saw not what he is. I will say that. That is not what he is. I don't think he's much better, but he's better than what we saw. And I wonder if there's any part of Sherrington that just wants to see at least that. He has an option. If you give him one more shot, even if it's for $4 million, he's got an option. Send him to AAA. If he figures it out, then you got away with it. If he doesn't, you cut ties with him. It's only $4 million. I know that's a lot for a guy who's played in AAA, but dude, I'm stretching right now. I'm really trying because the thing is like, I understand he wasn't good for us, but he wasn't as bad in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And we know that he's streaky. We've been told that he's streaky. And so we can see that. I think that this is a guy that I could see them keeping a hold of. We just said, Jake, we're already getting rid of Connor Joe at least. And that's 37 players on the 40-man roster. And I hate to tell you that, these are the 4 that we're talking about. There's one more here, but are we not going to talk about Joshua Palacios? Are we not going to talk about Trey Cabbage? Are we not going to talk about G1 Bay? Are we not going to talk about, I wasn't scrolling fast enough, Tristan Gray? I mean, you pick these guys up to keep a hold of them, right? But you see what I'm saying here. There's a pattern here. There's other guys on this team that aren't good too right now. Are we not going to talk about Joey Wentz, who right now is the only left-handed reliever? That's it. Hunter Stratton isn't even going to play next year. At some point, he might get DFA'd.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's guys here that I think you could look at and say, there's room on this roster for BDLC. And
it really is.
And like Bucko Mike says here, not a good way to spend $4 million. I think we get hung up in like the Pirates way and saying that $4 million is a lot of money. It's not. It's not a lot of money. I don't care who we are. I don't care. We all agree. Anybody who listens to this show usually would agree that the Pirates don't spend enough money. Mm-hmm. So we can't say that in one breath and then say that $4 million is a lot of money in the next breath, or else we're giving them a reason not to spend it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I come out here all the time and tell you that Ke'Bryan Hayes is not even making league average money. He's less than that. He's not even getting paid to be who he is. If he's healthy, obviously.
Right.
So the thing is, he says Wentz will be worked with. Of course he will, because he's cheaper, right? And the whole reason this comes up is because he's quote unquote projected at $4 million. I'm not sure if they don't tender him 2, that he doesn't take it, or maybe 3. Let's say 3. What's your cutoff? You know what I mean? What did he make last year? Does Baseball Reference have that? I know Ethan does. I don't have his spreadsheet open right now. You know what? I'll just open it. Give me your thoughts there while I look up what he made.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. I think he's a guy with his power potential. I just think that you take a flyer on this guy, $2 to $3 million, and if he doesn't show improvement in spring training, then you start him off in the minors, and maybe you start him off in the minors no matter what, and just be like, "We signed this guy, and he's gonna play your depth." Hopefully, that's a scenario. That's my only other thing with him
Yeah.
is it's gonna affect what our off season is gonna look like. If they think that he's got it and they're like, we'll go to bat with BDLC, then I'm like, shoot, they're not going to add anybody.
BDLC was making. There's no way. There's no way that he makes $4 million next year. I see that's
making league minimum.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. Like we're only on the hook for $250,000, right? Because we got him so late. So I don't know what he was making, but $250,000, like it couldn't have been all that much.
Yeah, I mean, if it's $2 million, I'm signing that. I'm tendering that all day.
And I don't think it is, right? I mean, and all we have right now is a projected number.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we have right now. But this is arbitration 1 for him. I don't know. I don't see them. I see them winning. If they go to 3 million, they're winning that arbitration case. It's not going to be 4 million. And so that's the question for me is, where do they go from here? If they offer him a contract at, let's say, 2.5, the guy has hit 40 home runs in the last 2 years. Let's not forget that there is something of value that exists in this player.
Mm-hmm.
But it's right now. Okay. So let's say this, Jake, he's got major league power. He's got major league nothing else. So the problem is can you get major league at bats?
Right.
If you can get major league at bats, the power will play.
Mm-hmm.
So he's only got one choice. He's only got one chance rather. And so, for me, that's it. He's got major league power and it stops there. So if you can do it for 3 million, then you do it, I think.
Yeah.
Just because you have the room. That's the only reason. If this was a crunch, I don't even try this.
Right.
And trust me, the whole time I'm saying this, like, don't hear this and say this guy likes BDLC. Like, that's literally not it, right? It's just the fact that he can play in Indianapolis for $3 million, right? And it's not going to hurt anyone. And if he figures it out, you win. If he doesn't, you let him go. Literally, all you spent was $3 million. Big deal. It didn't hurt anything. And that, if you think $3 million is going to hurt the bottom line for this team, then just keep complaining about the fact that $3 million should never hurt the bottom line of this team. Because that's still the truth, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's chump change, man, for these guys.
Right.
So whatever. But if you really think he's going to win his arbitration case and he's going to make $4 million, sure, cut him. I guess that's where I'm at. Cut him. Don't offer him a contract. Let him go to free agency. Try to re-sign him for 1.5.
Yeah.
You might be the only team to do it.
I doubt it.
You're right. There'll be somebody.
Yeah.
There'll be somebody who isn't trying to win that'll give him a chance to prove himself. Or not, who isn't, let's say this, who is maybe not trying to win, but just isn't in a position where they think they have a chance.
Right.
They'd sign a guy like that just to bridge the gap. So Dave says, give him a contract with incentives like Rowdy so we can not give it to him. Yeah. I don't think you can do incentives based on how many home runs you hit anymore. I think there's something against that. So I think that's why they do these plate appearance ones, because basically what they say is if you're good enough to get 500 at bats, you're good enough to get the extra money. Right. Yeah. So the thing is for these teams, I'm sorry to bring up a sour subject here, but if you're not good enough, then you're going to get cut before you hit that number. Sorry.
Right.
That's the way it goes. You signed the contract. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. While I don't agree with what happened, I also agree with the fact that, like, They didn't do anything nobody else would do. This isn't a Pirates thing. Everybody else would have done the same exact thing. Yeah. So outside of maybe a couple, because of the fact that he had some like specific moments. Outside of that, this is, par for the course. Anyway, last one we'll talk about, maybe the most polarizing, although I think the most silly, David Bednar.
Yeah. Sign him.
Offer him contract. So easy. It's so easy.
You figure it out.
The projection is 6.6. That's what freaks everybody out. If you think one season's enough after the guy was an elite top 5 closer, and I know everybody recency bias is going to make you say like, oh, I never believed in him. If you never believed in him, you're impossible. Because he's electric. His stuff was just as good last year as it's ever been. He was tipping pitches and he wasn't locating. Whatever. But like the pitches are still live. He's not losing it physically. The velocity actually went up, not down. He's fine. Yeah. And you just hired a guy who is actually like highly regarded for finding when you're tipping pitches and fixing it. Like he's good at that. Like that people know that he's good at that.
Yeah.
No, whatever it is, I'll pay him. So, that's it. Yeah. Bucko Mike says Rockies did that with Stallings. They DFA'd him as soon as he was available. They went out and got him again.
Yeah. Which is what I kind of thought was happening with Travis d'Arnaud in Atlanta. I thought that's what they were doing, but
well, you run the risk, right? You run the risk that somebody else offers a little bit more.
Yeah.
And apparently they were either cutting ties or somebody offered a little bit more, and he went back to the Braves and said, well, I mean, I could sign there. Mm-hmm. And they either said, okay, or this is our offer. You know what I mean?
Good luck winning in Anaheim.
Yeah. They're just grabbing everybody over there. But yeah, I mean, to me, this is easy. And I would offer him a contract of 5.5. And I think it would make sense to me if Bednar was like, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I don't need to make what everybody thinks I should make because I know that my season wasn't good enough. I'll take that. And he's worth that. Dude, he was dominant and he wasn't even making $1 million. You pay him back a little bit. You're paying him for what he's already done for you. That's okay. I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Pay him. Any of these other guys interesting to you? I went down and I named some guys that I'm like, are you really going to offer Ji-Hwan Bae a contract? He's arbitration, isn't he? Maybe he's not. Let's go back here. He's not. So our arbitration guys are Falter, Holderman, Bart, BDLC, Oviedo, Connor Joe, Bednar, Santana Hayes, IKF, Reynolds. Well, no, I'm sorry. From Hayes up is not. They're all signed. So like those are our arbitration guys. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a way you don't offer contracts to all the league minimum guys.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a way that you don't offer them to all those guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack Sawinski.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Too easy. Mm-hmm. All those guys get offers. And like I said, it's so easy. It's easy enough that you can just, like I said, you can just cut them if it's not cutting it.
Right.
So no big deal there. I don't think this is all that difficult for the Pirates tomorrow.
No, I don't either. It's pretty cut and dry.
So for you, let's say it this way. So if you're making the shots, calling the shots, you're going to keep Bednar, you're going to keep Alika, and are you keeping Joe or BDLC? Are you keeping all these guys?
I'm probably keeping all these guys.
If it's me,
I'm at least tendering them now, and then we'll see what happens. Basically, I would tender Joe just to try to throw him into a deal. BDLC just to try to get him cheaper.
So BDLC, yeah, I mean, but if you offer him a contract, like you're essentially like, I don't know what the deal is, but like I think you're going to
You can still
arbitration with him.
You can still negotiate all the way up to arbitration.
You can negotiate.
Mhm.
If he's not taking it and he wants to take you to arbitration,
Right.
you may end up paying him $4 million. I think for me, I think I non-tendered De La Cruz and I try to re-sign him for my price because, and the only reason I say that, I guess if it's me, right? If it's me,
Right.
I'm not getting in Sherrington's head. If it's me, I just cut him loose. I cut Joe loose. And I cut Alika loose. Bednar's the only one I offer. What do I think they'll do? Connor Joe's gone. They're keeping Alika. And I think the De La Cruz could go either way. They could either non-tender him and try to re-sign him because Sherrington went and got him. He at least believes that there's something there, or he wouldn't have got him.
Right.
So that's the thing. Does Sherrington raise his hand and say, I got this one wrong and just cut ties with him? And then watch and see if he tries to sign him for half that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what do you think Sherrington does in that same case? I think Bednar's staying. I think that's silly. It's a silly conversation, Jake. It's silly.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Joe, De La Cruz, and Williams all get non-tendered. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I think he'll keep Williams for sure. But I guess, I don't know. I guess you're right. I wouldn't be surprised. I think he does it. It won't surprise me.
Yeah, I think the only two that have question marks are De La Cruz and Connor Joe.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I think he keeps Williams, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't.
I get it. Yeah, I'm there. Steel City DW says, who will get my wrath with Andy Haynes gone? I need someone to blame.
Maybe. Maybe not.
You can still blame Andy Haynes? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying like, well, yeah, you could blame Andy Haynes because we could come out and hit well this year. No one to blame if we're hitting well, except we can blame Andy Haynes for the past struggles.
Yeah, but you gotta
live there.
You gotta have somebody to blame. You gotta have somebody. Just keep blaming Bob Nutting, I guess. I don't know. I mean, that's what everybody else seems to be doing.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the play. Maybe it's Ben Sherrington. That's easy. He's the top of the food chain as far as baseball stuff. So blame him, for whatever you want. Like there's going to be something you're going to complain about. I would just say that's baseball. You know what I mean? Like if you think it's going to be all good, it's not because baseball doesn't work that way.
Right.
But I think it's a good question. And we should be, you gotta figure out who's the guy you're going to go after. Shelton's still there. What are you talking about,
right.
man?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Dave White says if they non-tender Bednar, more billboards will go up in Pittsburgh. I actually don't know, man. There's a lot of people on this cut Bednar thing. A lot of people.
Silly.
If they did that, my goodness, the rest of the league's going to be licking their lips.
Yep.
Like, you idiots will take him.
Yeah.
If they did that, if they non-tendered him, I bet he makes more than $6.6 million next year. And I bet it's more than a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If he's just an unrestricted free agent at that point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That'll feel silly. It's a silly conversation. You're right, Dave. It's a silly conversation.
He'd end up with a 3-year, $25 million deal.
Yeah?
We non-tendered him?
You think it'd get up to 25 for 3 years after that year? I think they'd try to talk him down a little bit from that. But he'd make more than that. Maybe 321.
Yeah. 7 a year.
Something like that. Or 216. You know what I mean? Maybe something along those lines. If you wanted to go that high. But you won't go long term because you don't know.
Yeah.
So Pit City What says, we're wrapping it up here. Let's see what a couple of these are. Pit City What says, I opened a mega box and it was terrible. Oh no. See, he's terrified of Bednar in 25. There were stretches he was so consistently bad. I don't think he was healthy, and I'm not sure he will be. His velocity was up, though, man. It has nothing to do with health. He was tipping his pitches.
If you tip a pitch in the major leagues, those hitters are good enough that no matter how good your stuff is, they're going to hit it.
Well, but the thing is the stuff was good. The velo was up. It wasn't health. It was just the fact that like he wasn't locating his fastball up enough, and he wasn't tunneling his fastball and his curveball together. Without that, they knew that when the curveball was coming. If they know when the curveball's coming, they can sit fastball and just eat. And that's exactly what was happening. And like honestly, you when you look at the swing and miss gone with the stuff being up from previous years, that doesn't happen without them knowing the fastball is coming. So whether you're tipping or whether your curveball's not tunneling the right way, it's so clear why he struggled. And we got this new assistant pitching coach who literally right there, Mike, Bucko Mike here, he was having issues getting the curve over. And I'll even say this, not even over. It's not even about getting it over. It's about the tunneling. They knew it was a curveball, which means they didn't swing at the curveball when it was off the plate. He could get swings and misses off the plate with the curveball because they thought it was a fastball. But if they know it's a curveball and they just take it every time, you know what I mean? A lot of times you're not throwing that curveball for a strike.
Right.
But they think it's a fastball, so you get them on a sword or you get them swinging and chasing it. That's the thing that made it different. Like if you can recognize curveball and sit fastball, it's not as effective. So health-wise, honestly, I think after maybe the beginning of the year was certainly, he had a spring training at the major league level. That's never good.
Right.
That's never good. But also the fact that, like I said earlier in the show, like this guy is good at this. He's not going to let him tip pitches. And, you fix that, you're right back to vintage David Bednar, which, by the way, we still have questions about in the month of September. Just to throw just to be completely, you know what I'm saying? We still have questions about him being solid in the month of September. So outside of that, I think he goes right back to being David Bednar. Back to Pit City. What here? The mega box was terrible. Have you gotten your mega boxes yet, Jake?
No, I get mine on the 29th.
Oh, you got a while to go.
Yeah, I got a while to wait.
Okay. If that Skenes card's still out there, maybe we'll try to do something where we can open those up live or something. So last night we opened up a hobby box, and our buddy Jeff opened up a Breaker's Delight. I can't even remember who they were. Do you remember? Did I tell you who they were?
No, I don't think you told me who they were. They said it was bad.
Yeah, 2 pitchers, just not great. Let me tell you that I don't know. I did not tell you. I must have talked to you about it.
You said 2 meh pitchers.
Okay. Yeah. I did get a Christian Encarnacion Strand auto. I got 2 cards that one was out of 1 of 150 and one was 1 of 25 and the other one was 1 of 15. But it was like Lane Thomas and I forget who the other one was.
That one you sent me.
Yeah, I did. You're right. I have the picture. I sent you a picture of them. So anyway, didn't get anything crazy.
Stephen Kolek.
Yeah, Stephen Kolek from the Padres. And that one was 129 out of 150. Christian Encarnacion Strand was 25 or 20 out of 25. Lane Thomas, 13 out of 15. Obviously with Strand being my 1 auto. So, yeah. That's basically it. I also, in one of our mega boxes, I hit this Gold Mason win, which is a 49 out of 50. Gold Mason win refractor. That's actually a really nice, that's a nice hit. I'm learning a lot. Katie and I are learning a lot about cards. She's all in. After we opened that pack last night, she's like, all right, when's the next one coming? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. So I did get 2 BDLCs last night too. To which my first one was burn it. Burn it. We don't want it. I have several Skenes cards. Not getting very many Pirates at all. Like, give me a Jared Jones. But we have like 5 Skenes cards now. It's like that's the only guy we're hitting.
Yeah.
As far as the Pirates goes. So, yeah, not bad. I got a Skenes Prism Refractor. You know, if you guys know these terms, you know. This is literally, I'm at the beginning of this, right? So I have no clue. But, yeah, it's definitely been fun, man. It's definitely been fun. So, heavy snow in Cleveland. Listen, we woke up to snow this morning here. Central Ohio. I took this picture of a stop sign.
Jeez.
So, yeah. It's gone. It's mostly gone now. I don't have my blinds open now, and if I did, you couldn't be able to see outside anyway. But something about football games in the snow, though, are pretty fun.
Yeah.
All right, Jake, we got to get out of here.
But it's chilly down here.
Oh, it's chilly down there. What is
48.
Okay. All right, I'll give you that. That's chilly enough.
Supposed to get down to 40 tonight.
When's it going to warm up? I'm already there.
Terrible.
I'm already asking. Guys, thanks for sticking around. Please hit the subscribe button down below. Always appreciate that. And for those of you who are here live, thank you very much for hanging out and chatting with us. I know there's a big game on right now, so appreciate you guys maybe, watching the game and listening to us. That's a really cool thing. I don't take it lightly. Appreciate it. Other than that, I'm going to play some music. We're going to get out of here. Sorry about the audio stuff. We'll try to get it figured out.
Yeah.
Hey, I told you, custom setups, custom problems.
There you go.
So, thanks again, guys. Let's go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks!